All right. So let me just get this open here. All right. So I want to thank all of you for coming tonight. So we are going to post this onto our YouTube. So for if there's anybody watching this back later that doesn't know who I am Christine Bastien-Williams. I am the owner and nutrition coach here at CrossFit Good Fortune. So I'm really excited that you're here so that we can learn more about how to fast track meeting your goals. Right. So be sure that you stay tuned until the end. You don't want to miss some additional education and steps to level up your health. So we're going to start out. I would love for you to think about a couple of questions as we get started. And you can feel free to write them down in a notebook for yourself or drop them into the chat. So first up, I want you to think about what is your main goal right now? So what is that main goal that we're looking for? Give you a couple of seconds just to think about that. Now that you've thought about your main goal, I want you to think about how do you feel you're doing on the path right now to reach it? Do you feel good about it? Do you feel like maybe you could be doing some things differently or better? Maybe you need some help. So I want you to think about, how are you feeling about that right now? All right. So let's jump in. All right. So there we go. All right, so first up, so here at CrossFit Good Fortune, we have partnered with Healthy Steps Nutrition to support our clients using a framework that is guided, tested, and proven, right? We believe that something as fundamental as nutrition shouldn't be complicated, which is why we focus on a simple and a habit-based approach, right? So becoming the healthiest version of yourself isn't just about what you eat or hitting the gym a few times a week, right? It's a combination of nutrition, stress, sleep, exercise, support, as well as lifestyle all working together, right? So if you've ever noticed stress, boredom, tiredness, or just even being around certain people can really affect your choices, that's why we take this holistic approach, right? So focusing on all aspects of our health, including, right, on the circle there, we've got nutrition, stress, sleep, exercise, support system, and lifestyle. So let's dive in. All right. So if you ever feel like your goals are hard to reach, you're not alone, right? So by setting the right habits, we can really cruise towards them, right? So whether it's personal growth, fitness, career success, right? You can use these for a variety of different goals along your journey, right? So we're going to use Emma as an example. So Emma was a nutrition client of one of our HSM partners. She dreamed of running a marathon, right? But it was super overwhelming. So by using the SMART goal method, she was able to make a specific plan to complete that goal by the end of the year, right? She started with a local 5K, then she trained for a half marathon. Now to stay motivated, right, she teamed up with her friend Sarah. They had Saturday training sessions. They encouraged each other. They celebrated small victories, right, to keep those spirits high, right? So that story, right, shows the power of breaking down big goals, finding support, and choosing what truly matters to you right now. So let's talk about plans, right? So no matter where you are in your journey, right, there's always going to be a way to accelerate that progress towards your goals, right? So I want you to take a moment to reflect on your recent achievements, right? Are you actively moving toward the goals you've set for yourself? Right? Are you maximizing your time and resources to make those dreams a reality? So just take a pause there for a second if you want to jot some things down. Just really reflect on how things are going for you right now. All right, so now is that perfect opportunity to really identify what you want to accomplish and how we can fast track your way to those goals. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that different stages of our journey might require different approaches to reach our goals, right? It's perfectly fine to feel overwhelmed at times or to find that progress isn't moving quickly as quickly as we'd like, right? Especially there are a lot of other things going on in life, right? Work, social events, personal commitments. right? So what's essential though is just to maintain a steady focus on your objectives and allow yourself to build on existing habits and maybe incorporate some new strategies to enhance that progress, right? Establishing consistency, right, not only fosters that confidence, but it also reinforces your commitment to achieving meaningful outcomes, right? So consistency is going to be one of those things that we really talk about. So let's explore the three-step process to help you reach your goals faster by setting a really solid foundation for success. So step number one, right? You want to set goals that matter to you, right? We don't want to set goals just for the sake of setting goals. We really want to make sure that those goals sync up with our true passions, dreams, and motivation really just comes along with that, right? So we really want to focus on, you know, the phrase like what sets your soul on fire. So when you set those goals that like mean something to you, sticking to a plan really feels like a breeze, and enthusiasm really just comes along with it. So the first thing we want to think about is to start with setting a goal that matters to you, right? Because that means and in order to do that, we need to understand what a goal is, right? So we want to know what matters to you, but we also want to understand how to set a goal using the SMART criteria so it can help be your compass. SMART goals. Everybody loves a SMART goal. I know sometimes SMART goals in like a corporate work environment can kind of, you know, be a little cringy. But SMART goals are a great way to set goals that you can truly hit, right? So when you're setting a SMART goal, you're creating a recipe for success, right? There are 5 key ingredients, right? We want it to be specific, right? So nail down exactly what you're aiming for, right? So ask yourself, what's the target I want to hit? Be really specific about it. Measurable, right? How are you going to keep track of your progress? And how are you going to know that you've hit that goal, right? So how are we going to measure it? We also want to make sure that it's achievable, right? We want to dream big, right? But we want to be realistic as well, right? Is that something that's within your grasp, considering the tools you have right now, as well as the time that you have, right? Thinking about setting yourself up for success. We want to make sure that it's achievable. So we also want to make sure that that goal is relevant, right? Does that goal fit your life? So you really, that's where we're going to ask yourself, does this really matter to me? Then we also want to make it time bound, right? That's the T in here. We want to set the clock ticking, right? So that gives us a deadline to reach that milestone, right? So in Emma's example, right, she set herself a goal for the end of the year. Maybe it's signing up for something that like gives you that deadline to work towards, that kind of gives you a sense of urgency, right? So I want you to grab a pen if you don't already have one, or grab your notes app, you know, whatever works. And I want you to jot down a SMART goal and make sure it has those 5 pieces. I'm going to give you a second. And if you are if you're feeling brave and you want to drop that SMART goal into the chat, I would love to hear it. So I'm going to give you a moment to think about that. All right, so let's make sure it's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. I love it. The Nyack Bay Triathlon. That's fantastic. That's in August. Awesome. All right. Yeah, I think Mike's got that goal too. Maybe not, maybe that might not be the SMART goal he's setting for, but I know he put it out into the universe not that long ago.
So
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So we've written down some SMART goals. Got those 5 flavors there. So step number 2, we're going to choose a habit, right? But we want to be wise about that habit that we're choosing, right? So with that SMART goal defined, we're going to pick a habit that aligns with that goal that's also going to help you on that road to success, right? So this method is going to provide a clear map of transforming those good intentions into solid actions, right? But we want to choose wisely so that we can watch those habits really push us towards meeting our goals. All right, so let's talk about this a little bit, right? So what is a habit that you can pick that's going to help you reach that SMART goal. So we're going to dig deep into what you want to conquer. So whether it's, a health goal, career goal, or personal goal, right? So we're going to jot these down and we're going to cut those goals into bite-sized, doable actions that are going to create a path to success. All right, so think of it this way, right? Your goal is where you want to go, and the habits are how you're going to get there, right? It's like a roadmap. So I'm going to give you some ideas to kind of spark your creativity as you set your habits. So if your goal is to increase strength by the end of the year, right? So maybe your habit could be to add an extra set to your workouts each week or add an extra session, whichever one of those is more achievable, right? If your goal is to achieve 1% reduction in body fat each month, maybe your habit is to increase the amount of vegetables on your plate at dinner 6 days a week. If your goal is to build confidence to fit into your favorite clothes by the summer, then maybe your habit is to walk 30 minutes a day, right? So I want you to think about those habits, write them down, and if you want, maybe share what habit you're going to set for yourself to help you towards your goal. Sometimes picking a habit can be kind of challenging too, just like setting a goal. So sometimes it helps to chat it through. If you have a habit, but you're unsure about it, let me know. And also at the end of this, guys, don't forget, a lot of you are members at the gym. You can also set up a goal setting session if you want additional help with this, right? There's a QR code on the signs at the gym. Happy to sit down and kind of further define these. If at the end of this, maybe you've got some ideas, but maybe you're unsure of whether you've picked the right things. Happy to talk about it. So all right, so we're going to pick that habit. So let's talk about some holistic habit tips, right, to help you meet your goals effectively. We really want to also establish a balance between physical, mental, and emotional well-being while you're trying to reach your goals, right? So we want to make sure that reaching those goals doesn't become overwhelming or that we don't start to stray along one of those other, letting one of those pillars fall, right? So you can think about starting your day with a morning ritual that energizes you, right? So something like light stretching, followed by meditation. When it's not quite so miserably cold outside, a morning walk is a really great way to set a positive tone for the day and really enhance focus. Right? You can also aim to integrate some more whole foods into your diet with colorful fruits and vegetables, with essential nutrients. Right? Meal prepping is a great habit that can help you maintain those healthy eating habits. Really having that healthy option be the easy option is really one of the greatest benefits about meal prepping. Hydration, right? Making sure that we get enough water throughout the day. You can keep a water bottle handy as a reminder. I love having clients set up water stations around the house, right? If you're upstairs and your water's downstairs, it's not super helpful. So sometimes having water on each floor is helpful to be a little bit more readily available for you. So, and finally, we also want to make sure that we take time for self-care activities that bring you joy, such as reading, spending time with friends. We want to make sure that as you're really striving for these goals, that you are nurturing all aspects of your well-being with a holistic routine that supports those goals, right? I know that sometimes when we set ourselves a goal, sometimes it begins to feel a little bit like a chore. So we want to make sure that we keep doing the fun stuff and that we're really treating ourselves holistically throughout this. So let's talk about developing those nutritious habits that are going to support you overall, right? One effective habit is to incorporate more whole foods into your diet. Incorporating a variety of colorful fruits and vegetables is a great way to enhance your nutrient intake and better promote energy levels and just overall well-being, right? You can make this habit enjoyable by making it a fun family challenge. You can bring more color to your meals. Maybe challenge yourselves to add a new vegetable to dinner a few days a week over the course of a couple of months. This is going to diversify your meals, but it also encourages you to try new recipes and kind of keep things going in a forward direction rather than stagnant, right? We love to add bell peppers, cucumbers, and carrots. And we always have like the frozen fire roasted vegetables on hand. That is a great thing that we add into dinners, probably like more often than not, right? To get some additional vegetables. Now, in consistently incorporating a variety of vegetables into your meals is going to foster a balanced diet, right? Which is going to lead to greater health benefits and just an overall more sustainable lifestyle, right? Remember, the journey should be creative and enjoyable, right? So explore local markets or farms, discover new produce, and make an exciting adventure. I know that there is a winter farmers market here in town as well, so that would be a great adventure to go on. So I think it's Saturday afternoons. See what winter has to offer. So now consistency versus motivation, right? Consistently working towards a SMART goal with holistic habits is going to be essential for motivation, right? Motivation wanes, but we know consistency is how we're going to really be able to keep ourselves moving forward, right? So we want to think about a few things with our habits, right? So the first one is going to be, does this habit fit your current lifestyle, right? I want you to reflect, and we're going to use the greens as an example here, right? So reflect on whether adding more greens aligns with your daily routine, right? So is life feeling like a whirlwind, right? We can start small. Opting for pre-cut vegetables, grab and go fruits, right? Those frozen options. We want to make sure that we can find a way that or pick a habit that is going to fit with our lifestyle, right? That's how we're going to set ourselves up for success. Now, also, how are you going to track this habit, right? So how are you going to hold yourself accountable or know or be able to measure whether we're headed in the right direction, right? So keeping track can really ignite that motivation, right? Whether it's with a journal or if you're a nutrition client, we can track those those habits in the HSN app, and regularly reviewing your progress is really important because we can also adjust those goals as needed, right? If you're struggling to hit something 6 days a week, it can be a little bit frustrating and maybe you want to give up, right? So we want to start with something that we know is achievable. So maybe we go to 4 to 5 days a week, right? And we build up to those 6. Once we get the routine in place where we're hitting it consistently 4 to 5 days a week, right? But tracking is going to help you visualize that success and keep you moving in the right direction. And now the other thing is going to be, how are you going to stay accountable, right? So involving your friends or family in your plans is a great way to kind of put it out there that this is something you're working towards, and you can hold each other accountable, right? You can participate in group challenges, finding a supportive network to use as an asset when you start running up on obstacles, right? So let's talk about overcoming obstacles, right? Because nothing ever goes smoothly, right? But you don't want to let challenges deter you, right? So we want to embrace some flexibility and practice self-compassion, right? It's okay to stumble, and those moments are opportunities for growth and for strength. And that's also why accountability partners are really great, so that as you're starting to run into some obstacles, sometimes it's good to have somebody from the outside looking in that can kind of help you navigate those obstacles to keep you moving towards your goals, right? So I want you to explore these questions and strategies and see how you can align your mission with your goals, right? Begin small, enjoy the journey, right? It's supposed to be fun, right? And you're going to really watch those healthy habits flourish. So let's talk about step number 3. Spot the wins and celebrate, right? Recognizing and celebrating small victories can significantly boost your motivation and morale in both personal and professional settings, right? It's important to take a moment to acknowledge your progress, no matter how minor it may seem, okay? So consider working with an accountability partner, a friend, or a nutrition coach who can help you highlight those things, right? So there have been a number of times I've had a client come in thinking that they were absolutely failing, right? They're like, oh, I totally fell off track. But as we started talking about things, there were a lot of wins to share, right? So we want to make sure that we really think about those things. We do Bright Spot Friday with our nutrition clients, where you look back at the week and you look for the highlights, like what went well for me this week? What am I doing well at, right? So by focusing on those wins together, you can create that positive feedback loop, right? That's going to encourage further progress and achievements. So not only is that going to boost your confidence, right, but you're also going to maintain momentum toward larger goals. All right, so at this point, your notebook might be filled. Maybe you've got some things written down, or you might be wondering more about how you can fast track your way to meeting those goals, right? So we want to think holistically. Also, create a routine and choose habits based on your SMART goals, right? These are going to be small shifts that are going to lead to lasting healthy habits, right? So we want to start small and layer in those habits, right? We're not going to try to change everything all at once. We just want to do one thing at a time, right? I know one thing at a time, you're going to start to succeed, and then we layer those habits in, right? So here are the big takeaways. Set goals that matter to you, right? Choose habits wisely and spot the wins, right? So I want you to start with one step today as you take the next step towards your goals, all right? I have a couple of frequently asked questions, and then I want to talk a little bit about a couple of things that we have coming up, and I will take questions. All right. So, what are the most effective strategies to fast track if you have weight loss goals, right? So, for weight loss goals, right, we want to focus on building sustainable habits rather than drastic change, right? Incorporate regular exercise, eat balanced meals, and ensure proper hydration. And sometimes tracking your intake can be helpful as well as a means to help you stay accountable, right? So that goes along with small change over time. Now, can meal prepping help me reach my goals faster? Absolutely. Meal prepping can save you time, reduce stress around meal decisions, and help you maintain portion control, making it a little easier to stick to your nutrition plan. But also, having meals prepped and ready to go also frees up additional time for you to go and do those things that are going to help you reach the goals that you've set for yourself, right? So it's a real time saver and also a little bit of a brain saver as well, right? When things get really stressful midweek or you get really, really busy, it's really nice to be able to open the fridge and just like have things available for you. So now that we've talked about tips to fast track your progress, right? I always like to come back to our HSN core principles. You guys might have heard them all before, but you're going to hear them again, right? So focusing in on whole foods first, meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, and minimal added sugar. We want a balance of macronutrients, right? Including protein, carbohydrates, and healthy sources of fats with all of your meals and snacks, right? That's going to keep you fuller longer and give you energy. And then we want to limit the amount of ultra processed carbohydrates, added sugar, and alcohol that we consume, right? These core principles have helped thousands of HSN clients around the world improve their health, increase their performance, as well as reach their health and wellness goals, right? It's not, at the end of the day, we know it's not mostly about knowledge and education. It's really about having support and accountability, right? We all, number of times we've heard, I know what I need to do, I'm just not doing it. That's where support and accountability comes in. So as we come to an end, I would love to hear what your takeaways are. Do you have one takeaway?
The habits thing, actually, like forming a habit that's related to the objective, I think is really helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so like on the so when you're setting a goal, like on the whiteboard at the gym, a lot of people will set goals, but they don't really define like how they're going to get there, right? So we see a lot of times like, oh, I want to get double unders. Okay, great. What are you going to do each time you come in order to work on that? So it's like getting those habits in. Yeah, that's fantastic. I just want to mention a little bit about our nutrition coaching program with HSN. I'm going to share one of our big success stories, which is actually from one of our coaches. Lace, over the last 12 months, she came in specifically to build habits that travel, right? So she was traveling by RV for months at a time and was trying to still maintain her fitness and routine and healthy habits. And through that time, she lost 3% body fat and 15 pounds. Again, 12 months, right? It's not something that happens fast, but building habits takes time. And then a brief overview of what's included in our nutrition and health coaching, right? We have two different options. There's standard accountability and high accountability. Everyone gets a 60-minute initial consultation. There are weekly message check-ins via the HSN app. Everyone gets to see my smiling face every week. And then there are 30-minute monthly meetings. There's habit tracking, meal photo logging, as well as education that you get that really kind of helps pull everything together. The high accountability option includes a weekly call for those that need that extra accountability. And then we do also have hormone health specific as well as kids and family programs available now as well. So if you have questions, like I said, if you are in the gym, you can set up a free goal setting session if you want to sit down and talk about this more specifically. Folks that are watching back, you can go to CrossFitGoodFortune.com and book a discovery call. You do not need to be a fitness member at CrossFit Good Fortune in order to take advantage of this program. We do take nutrition only clients as well. All right. So, yeah, I'm really excited for you guys to start crushing your goals. Let me just flap my screen over here. Big takeaway, don't have to do it solo. Yes, you don't have to do it on your own, right? That's why, we are happy to support you guys on your goals or help you partner you with an accountability person as well, right? If there's somebody else in the gym that's working towards the same thing, right? We can partner you guys up if you're out doing training. Yeah. Are there any other questions? Awesome. Thank you so much for joining, guys. I am going to real quick, I'm going to stop sharing. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining tonight. I am going to get this out if you want to refer back to it at some point in time. And I'm absolutely open to goal setting sessions. Like I said, QR code at the gym. Thanks, guys. I hope you have a great night.